Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something pretty bizarre happening in the modern Chinese workplace. It's this system where a law that was supposed to protect people, is actually, ironically, doing the complete opposite.
And that quote you just saw, that's not just some dramatic exaggeration, no way. It's a phrase that has literally exploded on Chinese social media, and it perfectly captures this deep-seated fear, this harsh, unwritten rule that's basically defining the careers of a whole generation.
So here's the deal. In China, your career can pretty much hit a brick wall at age 35. Now, this isn't written down in any law book, but if you're in a super competitive field, like tech, it's basically a deadline. The moment you hit your mid-30s, boom, you could be facing sudden unemployment. And this has created this whole new group of people, highly skilled, super experienced, but suddenly unemployable. They're calling them the middle-aged unemployed.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly is this 35-year-old ceiling? How does it actually play out in the real world? And, the big question, how can something this widespread not be, well, illegal?
Well, it's a practice that's baked into the system. You'll literally see job ads that straight up say 35 and under. It's super common in IT, the internet sector, even foreign companies. So what happens is folks in their mid-30s suddenly find their contracts just aren't getting renewed, or they get pushed out through these bogus performance reviews, basically cornering them into voluntarily resigning. And yeah, there are age discrimination laws on the books, but they're just not really enforced. So you've got this whole system that's just discarding experienced workers right when their financial and family responsibilities are at their absolute peak.
So what's causing all this? I mean, the obvious answer seems to be ruthless corporate culture, right? Just plain old greed wanting cheaper, younger workers. But that's not the whole story. The real reason is way more complicated, and honestly, it's super ironic. The problem isn't a lack of a law, it's the law itself.
Yeah, you heard that right. Let's talk about this law, because it was created with the best intentions, designed to do the complete opposite of what's happening now. Okay, let's rewind to 2008. China passes this thing called the Labor Contract Law, and they did it to fix a huge problem. See, back in the early days of China's economic boom, things were, well, kind of the Wild West for workers. People were getting fired for no reason, not getting paid, social insurance was a total luxury. This law was supposed to fix all of that.
And if you just read the law, it sounds amazing. I mean, it's genuinely one of the most pro-worker laws you'll find anywhere. It says companies have to give formal contracts, they can't just fire people on a whim, and it even created a way for workers to get a permanent, lifetime contract. The whole point was to give people total job security.
Okay, so here's the billion-dollar question. How did this law, with all its fantastic goals, backfire so epically? How did something meant to be a shield for workers turn into a weapon used against them?
Well, it comes down to this really simple, paradoxical logic. The law says firing older, long-term workers is going to be difficult, legally messy, and super expensive. So what do the companies think? Their logic is cold but rational. Okay, then we'll just never let our workers get old in the first place. They didn't see a protection for workers, they saw a huge financial risk down the road, and their solution was to just avoid it. And that thinking gave birth to this corporate playbook. It's a pretty brutal but very effective 4-step plan. Step 1, hire tons of young, ambitious people right out of college. Step 2, squeeze every ounce of productivity out of them with that insane 996 work culture. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. Step 3, discard them before they hit 35. And why? Step 4, by doing that, you completely sidestep all those expensive protections the law gives to long-term staff. It's a business model that basically treats young employees like a disposable resource.
So this isn't just some abstract business theory, right? This has a massive, devastating human cost. We're talking about millions of people who did everything right, who played by the rules, who worked their tails off, all expecting it to lead somewhere.
I mean, just try to put yourself in their shoes. You're an IT engineer in a big city like Beijing or Shenzhen. You've spent a decade, maybe 15 years becoming an expert, working those grueling hours. And then suddenly at 35, you're out. The future just looks like a total dead end. And now these major tech hubs are filled with these highly skilled but supposedly unemployable people in their late 30s.
And this is where you see the systemic trap really close in. What are your options? You can't just get another job in tech. Hiring managers see you as too old, Switching to a totally different industry? Good luck. Your skills are probably too niche to transfer easily. Well, what about a government job? That's often a safe bet, right? Nope. Most of those positions also have an age cutoff, usually under 35. The result? You're effectively trapped. There's just nowhere to turn.
And we're not just talking about a career setback here. In a society that doesn't have a very strong social safety net, this is a personal catastrophe. Because losing your main source of income in your mid-30s, that's the exact time when all your financial pressures are peaking. You've got mortgages, your kids' education, your parents' medical bills, and without that job, your family's entire stability can just collapse, literally overnight.
So what happens next? What do you do when you're part of a generation facing this huge, systemic problem, but there's no single bad guy to point a finger at? You can't really sue any one company because what they're doing isn't technically illegal. Well, all that anger and frustration, it's started to turn inward, and it's led to this really profound shift in society.
The result isn't some big revolution. You're not seeing mass protests in the streets. What you're seeing is a retreat. An entire generation is just quietly opting out. They're backing away from the very system they feel betrayed them. It's like they've decided the whole game is rigged, so the only way to win is to just stop playing.
This whole movement has a name. It's called Tong Ping, which translates to lying flat. And it's a kind of silent protest. Young people are refusing to do the 996 grind anymore. They're rejecting the whole rat race. They're giving up on the idea of marriage, postponing or just deciding not to have kids, and cutting way back on their spending. It's a direct, logical response to looking ahead and realizing the future they were always promised is just blocked.
So, in the end, this isn't some big conspiracy. It's just the tragic, almost inevitable result of what happens when a really well-meaning law crashes into a ruthless, bottom-line-driven market. And it's left a whole generation questioning that fundamental promise we're all told, that if you work hard, you'll have a better life. And it really leaves you wondering, what happens when the very system designed to protect people is the thing that ends up breaking them?